Welcome to Phil Phails. My name is Philip Jones, and today I have returning guest Ashley Eaves, RDN CPT. She's a functional nutritionist, registered dietitian, personal trainer, and gut specialist.
Woo.
Wave to everybody. Woo! And today, Phil Phails at Gut Health. We're going to talk about your gut. We're going to talk about our gut.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in learning about your gut and how to keep a healthy gut, or how to know if you don't have a healthy gut,
or how to heal your gut,
yeah, this is a good video for you because you're a specialist in it. And You've been doing this for over 20 years.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, well, I would say, health and fitness and nutrition for 20 years. The gut has really been more in the last 5 years.
Okay.
Just not necessarily my journey with gut. It started well before that. And so I've learned things through trial and error, and then also just then finding so many people needing it that I dove in. I'm like, okay, let's get the knowledge and find more out. And now I know so much more that I think everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
It's like the more you know, the more you find out you need to know.
Yeah.
Right?
And I released a video of talking about gut stuff with Jamie Figari, who's a therapist, and we were just talking about, our topic was narcissism, but our discussion about our guts was so popular. I'm like, dude, I've got a gut specialist. I'm excited to release our previous talk. So you guys go back and find our previous talk where we go over the gut, we go over nutrition, we go over a lot of different things. We didn't even get to the life story, y'all, because we were just
talking.
We were just talking so much about nutrition and health. Go back to that one, but this one's going to be a deep dive on the gut.
Yes.
Yeah. And we structured it a little bit. We're going to give you guys, we know internet people want lists. Well, we don't know that.
And it might just keep me in line.
Well, we got to keep her in line. So we're going to do a couple lists, but we're going to talk about everything pretty exclusive, pretty in depth. So one of the lists is going to be foods for the gut. What does the gut like?
Yeah.
What's good for the gut? The next one is going to be indicators of gut imbalance. What are things that tell you that your gut's unhealthy or that you would benefit from
maybe looking into it more or doing things differently than you are?
Yeah, making some changes.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about Ashley's proprietary colon detox regimen, right? We'll talk about how you guide your clients through gut health and gut detox, and how to get them back on track, which could be helpful. We'll also talk a little bit about all of the different products out there for people. There's a ton of stuff out there for people to help their gut.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder which ones are valid, which ones aren't. So we'll talk a little bit about that, probably without putting any of them down.
I think the market's just saturated with a lot of things. And so, do your research.
Which is indicator that people are interested in it. Yeah. People want to have a healthy gut.
And or needed, or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are the things we're going to discuss. Foods for the gut, indicators of gut imbalance, Ashley's colon cleanse or colon detox protocol, and whatever else that comes up along the way, right?
wherever it leads us.
Wherever it leads us. So let's start with the first list, foods for the gut.
Okay.
Foods for the gut. We're gonna talk first about, what's our first one?
Fiber. At least I think it was the first one. It will be our first one.
We're making whatever we say the first. Yeah, so fiber is, what is fiber? Doesn't everything have fiber?
No, everything doesn't have fiber. Fiber, you've got soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. So basically whether it absorbs water or not, and whether it creates bulk. So in theory, they both create bulk, but we need them both. And we don't need to go super deep into soluble versus insoluble, but generally speaking, we're creating bulk in the intestine. So I think most people think of fiber as what makes you regular, right? Which it's true. And I will say through the years, I would say most of my clients are that's what That's it. That's what fiber. That's why we need fiber
To be regular.
To be regular. To create bulk.
And when you say be regular, you mean to poop every day.
Correct.
To
Yes.
move things through
Yes.
your digestive system.
Correct. And also, again, well, I'll be mindful of this too, but even like what that looks like, like in terms of its, formation and whether that,
what your poop looks like, y'all. Hey, if you can't handle this discussion, go back and read the children's book, Everybody Poops. Start from there. And then when you've digested that, come back to this conversation because this is an adult conversation and everybody poops.
Everybody poops. So the amount of fiber, is important for that flow and that formation correctly.
Okay.
But so we needed that. But I think one of the things that people don't know about fiber, so we have and this goes a little more into your gut. So we have our intestines. They're made of cells, and those cells are semi-permeable. So we want semi-permeable. So we want things flowing in and out of our intestines, and but only the things that we want flowing in and out of them. So our gut has protections to help protect the inside from the outside. One of those things are like how close the cells are together, like tight cell junctions. And these are kind of tied together. But another is we have this mucosal layer that goes around our intestine. Its job is to protect. And so we want to protect bigger molecules from coming in and out. So like I said, we want healthy bacteria in there, but we don't want pathogens and viruses and parasites and worms and all these things. So this mucosal layer helps protect against that. And what makes that mucosal layer thick and healthy?
Fiber.
So generally speaking, I think most people need 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day.
25 to 30 grams of fiber. What are good sources of fiber?
Generally speaking, you think fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds. That said, there are some that are more fibrous than others. For instance, if I have people having trouble getting enough fiber, like chia seeds, are like the golden fiber.
Really?
That you just like get a really big bang for your buck. A lot of berries have fiber, but it's kind of bizarre, like which ones are higher in fiber or not. But whole grains are a good one. But that doesn't work for everybody. Some people are gluten free, and so like you have to kind of figure out where that lies. But that doesn't mean And sometimes there's certain vegetables that you're like, like ate a lot of vegetables, and you're like, oh, okay, that was only like 3 grams of fiber. But I will say, for 25 grams. If you get around 5 grams, in a meal and a few grams in a snack, like you can get there. It's when people aren't getting any nuts and seeds or whole grains or fruits or vegetables. And it's just, like meats and bread products that maybe aren't whole, then we can miss that.
Yeah. Okay. Fiber's number one. An aside question about fiber is, how are these carnivore diet people getting fiber?
I think a lot of them aren't.
They're not.
Yeah. And so, I know a lot of people have great success with carnivore diet in terms of how they feel, in terms of, gut health. Well, here's another interesting thing about fiber and gut health. If your gut is imbalanced, and of course that could mean a lot of things. So let's just say microbiome's imbalanced, or you have a parasite or an overgrowth, or bacteria overgrowth, or whatever. There's lots of things that can create imbalance. Often when it's imbalanced, then people can actually tolerate fiber less, when it actually is also what they need. And maybe not all they need, right? There might be other things, again, depending on where the imbalance comes from. But so sometimes people do feel better without fiber, but that doesn't mean that their body doesn't need that, and
Right.
It wouldn't benefit them. So we'll say that. And I think also you have to be creative sometimes if you are on a more strict diet, like keto or carnivore. That doesn't mean you can't. It just means you need to figure out which high fiber foods fall into your diet.
Right.
And just make sure that you're being really intentional about it, I think is important. Like I said, for that gut protection, I think is really important. Now, you might feel better with less fiber, but then you potentially are also inviting more imbalance into your gut and or also lowering your immunity. Our gut, they call it a second brain for a lot of reasons, but like you get 80% of your immunity from your gut. So if your gut's imbalanced, you're more likely to be sick and get colds and get viruses. And there's layers to that too. But imbalance of gut often means a low immune system.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think about how we interact with the world, and it's like a part of it is our skin. Like that's a big part big way we interact with the world, or are exposed to whatever. And that tends to be like mosquitoes or bugs or things like that want to get at us. Yeah. But then we also put a lot of stuff into our body. Yeah. It's like a donut, right? We just have this tube, and all the way through that tube is exposed to the outside world too. Sure. It's this membrane. It's much like the skin, but it's on the inside.
Shaking hands and viruses, right? Like we are exposed to, an oxygen. Like there's a lot of transference internally and externally.
Yeah. Yeah. So I never really, sometimes I overlook the value of that like internal,
that motility and process and intestinal process.
And how that keeps you healthy. When it's healthy, you've got more, what'd you call it? You said 80% of your immunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what keeps you from getting sick when you're exposed to things.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's when you have that thick and healthy mucosal layer around the intestine, if it's thick and healthy, among other things, you want like good secretory IgA. You want that to be in the right balance too. That's like your immunoglobulins that protect against pathogens and viruses. So anyway, so there's a few different pieces to that. But then when you are exposed, which we are, you're shaking hands with people or you're getting fruit from the store or whatever. Maybe you forgot to wash the blueberries before you ate them or whatever. So pesticides or whatever, all these things that you're exposed to, the healthier your gut is, and this is so many layers. Healthier your brain is, healthier your gut is, the healthier your brain is, healthier. Anyway, all of those things impact your body's ability to fight off viruses and pathogens and bacteria that we don't need, and parasites and worms. And we don't get a lot of worms in the US, but it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2. So that's number 1 is fiber. Number 2 and number 3, I get confused a lot, the two, and sometimes they combine them together. So you mentioned prebiotic and probiotic. Yeah. Which one do you want to make number 2? Yeah.
Well, I'll talk about them both. So they can both be number 2.
Okay.
Or however we want to do it. We can do them separately.
2 and 3 are prebiotic and probiotic.
Yeah. So I think of probiotics being bacteria, okay, and being healthy bacteria that we want in our gut. So probiotics are our commensal bacteria. So our healthy bacteria in our gut that we want in our gut. They are important. Most of them feed off of fiber. And so we need fiber to keep enough healthy probiotic in our diet. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can take probiotics, but it's not a direct correlation, meaning like you take lactobacillus and it goes through and suddenly you have more lactobacillus. It doesn't exactly work in that process, but nonetheless, it does still help create that balance of healthy bacteria. And so, like I said, that healthy bacteria influences like also how we're absorbing nutrients. It influences diarrhea and constipation, our motility. It can influence skin. It can influence our immunoglobulins and bactericidins. So like basically fighting off pathogens and viruses.
That's the immunity part.
So that is a big piece of that. So that's those probiotics are really healthy for maintaining that balance and fighting things off and keeping the motility and absorbing your nutrients. Prebiotics are the precursors. It's basically the food for them. So I say lots of things fall into this, but I often think of like onions and garlic are two of those. So like prebiotics are basically food for probiotics. So they're precursors.
And garlic are the best ones?
Those are just the two most common that I like, jump to.
Onions and garlic. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's prebiotics are the pre to
if you eat the pre, you'll get the pro.
Yes.
Is that what
the pro.
saying?
I was trying to get to the pro. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The precursors to the probiotics.
Yeah. Or the food for them. Yeah, absolutely. So that was 2 and or 3. But yeah, so all basically leading to those healthy bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So probiotics are the actual bacterias.
They are, yeah. And just, yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really want to go through that whole process, but basically we need probiotic. They also, yeah, like I said, it's mostly helpful for the healthy bacteria, for the motility, and for like balancing off so that we can fight off the things we don't want in there.
Question that I have when I go to the store and look for probiotics is shelf stable, like the ones that are just on the shelf, room temperature, are those
as good
better
as
than or as good as the ones that are in the refrigerator? Because there's like refrigerator ones, there's shelf stable ones, there's like...
I will say there's a lot of opinions about these, and I don't know that we have a like solid scientific answer behind that. My opinion, that I think a lot of other dietitians I know agree with me is, I don't know that there's necessarily a like this is better than that. I think it kind of depends on your own gut and what you need. So because every probiotic isn't the same, not only in quantity, like how
because
much
some of
is
them
in there,
this one has 10 million and this one has like a billion, and you're like, how many do I need?
Right.
It's kind of like an army, like how many army warriors do I need to send down into that gut, right?
Well,
like,
it might depend on what your gut looks like. And so this is where I like
maybe it's like the Peace Corps. It's probably more like the Peace Corps.
I think it's more like a Peace Corps.
How many peacekeepers do we need to send down there?
Right. But also, it depends on what's going on in there. So like depending if somebody's low in something, they might need more of something else, or depending on their motility, they might need more. So there are certain strains that are better for certain things, and that's like an endless list, right?
What does motility mean? You've used that a couple times.
Oh yeah. So basically how your food is moving through your esophagus and stomach and intestines, not only the speed of that basically, but how it's moving through.
Okay.
And so obviously that can be slow with like constipation, or it could be really fast with diarrhea, or it can alternate back and forth. But yes, how things are flowing through the system.
So diarrhea and constipation are two examples of motility out of balance.
Correct.
Diarrhea is like too fast motility.
Correct.
And constipation is too slow motility. And just like with Buddhism and everything else, the Tao Te Ching, we're looking for the middle path. We're looking for the middle path in our middle path.
Yes, absolutely. Right in the middle. Absolutely.
Okay, so precursor is all these things. We can't necessarily say cold is better than shelf, but...
Well, I mean, I probably, lean toward the cold, but like I said, I don't know that matters. And it also depends on the strain. So it depends on the strain. I think that it depends on what your body needs as to like which strain it needs. Now, maybe you don't necessarily need, maybe your body is like mostly balanced, but you're just trying to maintain health. Well, then it may not matter. And so, what I started to say earlier is, I'm kind of the impression if you don't have something specific that like you need this strain for this particular ailment or whatever the case may be, like just taking a probiotic, generally speaking, is good, and in any amount, right?
Yeah.
Like some is better than none. Basically, taking some is better than none. Now, I will say also, if your body's not used to that, so you can also get probiotics through food, right? Through yogurt.
Is this kimchi,
and you can also
yogurt,
get kimchi and sauerkraut and kombucha. You get those
pickles,
prebiotics and probiotics through foods, right? Or you can obviously take something. So, but if you're not getting any through any food, and your body's not used to it, and you go buy a random one from the store, and then you're like, oh, my belly's upset. Well, that's really common. Sometimes you have to, I don't know, sit with it for a while, right? Like sometimes your body has to get used to it. Sometimes there are also some that are more gentle than others. So if you've never taken one and you don't think you get a lot of through foods, then maybe starting with something that's a little more gentle. And so, there are ones that can be a little more gentle, and sometimes you don't know. And so like, here we go. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, you're on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
And then for the prebiotics, those are the precursors to these bacteria.
Yeah, and
these are foods.
Yeah, I think of that mostly with getting through food.
What are a couple foods? Onions and garlics, you mentioned?
Onions and garlics, yeah. Well, and then I think a lot of the ones that you're getting, so like kimchi and sauerkraut are going to have both in there too. So you
pre
get
and
both.
pro?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all the fermented foods are going to have those.
Yeah.
Kombucha,
Yep.
perhaps.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly on
Yogurt.
that. Yeah.
Kimchi, sauerkraut.
Yeah.
Love
I
sauerkraut.
do too.
What else
And
is
kimchi,
there?
but oh my god, sometimes it can be really strong.
Yeah, kimchi can be strong and spicy.
And spicy.
I like it though.
I got one the other day that I was like, oh, that's like real fermented.
I think I want to make my own. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too long because we got so much to discuss, but I think I want to make my own sauerkraut.
Yeah.
I got a big mason jar. I now just need to find those
That's
little
cool.
burpers, those things that you put on top to let air out but not air in.
Yeah.
Because I watched a couple videos that were like, dude, it's mad cheap to make your own sauerkraut.
It's funny. I've considered making kimchi. I've never considered making sauerkraut, but we could share.
Like kimchi's a lot harder than
I'll make some
sauerkraut.
kimchi.
You make kimchi, I'll make sauerkraut, and then we'll share. Yeah, I've done kombucha before.
Yeah.
I used to have 2 batches of kombucha going at the same time, and I cycled them through. But once, I think through the seasons of the year, the fermentation time period changed, and I really wanted it to be static.
Yeah.
I wanted to be on this like path, and then eventually it got to where it was really vinegary.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just like, threw it out because, but I still have
hey, trial and error.
I still have kombucha SCOBY in my fridge.
Oh.
So at any time we could just like whip up some kombucha. All right. So that's 2 and 3 pre and probiotics.
Okay.
4.
What did we choose for 4?
I'll go back and look. I didn't know what this was.
Oh, polyphenols.
Polyphenols.
So yeah, and it's another like food for the gut, and for helping ultimately helping with protections and helping keep your gut balanced. So I think of berries and onions and garlic and cinnamon and turmeric and so I mean there's a long it's funny I also think about this with like FODMAPs is that I feel like sometimes there's things that like I know what maybe not everybody, but like a low glycemic food makes sense. Ones that are like more sugary or not sugary, right? Like it kind of makes sense. Or I'll just keep it generic, like what a fruit is. I feel like when you get into like FODMAPs and polyphenols, it's all over the place. You're like, okay, we got like a fruit here and a vegetable there and just kind of like some random ones. But it's just some other, some nuts and seeds in there too. There's certain particular foods that help feed and balance those layers and protections in the gut.
What is a polyphenol? It's poly means multiple.
Yeah.
So what the heck is a
anything,
phenol?
I don't know, like phenol. Well, an OL, it typically ends in alcohol. So it has some sort of like
some alcohol.
I'll have to look that up exactly
what
it is.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
But it's good for your gut.
It's good for your gut.
These polyphenols, and they come from foods that are like low glycemic index foods. Like I know that strawberry I know that strawberries, berries, all of those.
Yeah, they are
because I'm on keto, and those are the fruits that are
the ones
allowed.
That you can have, right?
Allowed, right? I can have
you can
strawberries. I can do.
Yeah. I actually don't think polyphenols are related to low glycemic, but you're right. I think the ones that are in there happen to be low glycemic. And then cinnamon and turmeric and onions and garlic and nuts and seeds and anyway. So yeah.
Berries. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And number 5 was the thing. Water. The thing we all need.
Yes. And I like that one because again, I'll use the word motility. Obviously, if you're not drinking enough water, then then your motility slows down. And I don't usually think of like doing too much water or speeding it up, but it can speed it up in terms of just urination, right? Like you're going to the bathroom in that regard, but not as much on the GI front. But it's just so important. Our body needs water for all the processes, and that also I would say 90% of my clients are low water drinkers. And it also just impacts how well your body burns fat and absorbs nutrients and, your skin health and how your brain thinks. And so, but specifically, I mostly think of like keeping that motility and keeping things. And part of that too is with constipation. If your waste is sitting in your gut versus being excreted, then your body can reabsorb that waste. And
Not
so,
good.
yeah. So then we're reabsorbing waste, we're reabsorbing hormones and toxins that our body want to get rid of. So,
yeah. I
water.
thought of did you go to like water parks when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Do you go now with your kiddos?
Yes.
Water parks?
Yeah,
So
sometimes.
like we got what's the one down
Like
there?
Schlitterbahn?
Schlitterbahn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought, as you were talking about this, I thought about a slide.
Without enough water.
Either one. Yeah, without enough water, you're like, this hurts my body. My skin is like getting scraped all the way down this thing. Is there another side? Is there too much water?
Yeah, I guess you go super fast down the slide.
Yeah, because if you're like in a tube of water, you like can't breathe.
Or
but
if
is there that for the
you
gut?
go over the top. But yeah, I mean, I think more of being overhydrated, meaning, like I said before, like I think it more of impacting your urination. You can also, and this is like, you'd have to drink it lots and lots and lots, but you can actually flood your brain if you like way over drink
Oh my
water.
God.
Yeah, but I'm like, we don't need to go down
Most
that.
people probably don't have to worry about that. They'd have to legit.
Oh, it would be hard. It'd be
I think
really
when I was a
hard.
kid-
So please don't stress about that.
When I was a kid and I was trying to like pass drug tests,
Yeah.
I'd be like drinking gallons of water.
Well, and that's actually what I think about sometimes. If people, I mean, it's really hard, so don't stress about not drinking too much. I'd rather you drink water.
Yeah.
Don't stress about that. But I do think about more likely with people who are on drugs because they're maybe extra thirsty, and and don't have that, conscious awareness of like what is an appropriate amount of water.
Yeah, if you're on drugs, y'all, first we're gonna work on not being on drugs. Because I think your water intake might not be the lowest hanging fruit of health, right?
Isn't that the truth? The other thing I think of is like people being hungover, but also I think they're so dehydrated. It's like, again, please don't worry about flooding your brain. But that's
water.
where my brain goes of overhydrating is just like spending all day in the bathroom in that regard. Not usually in terms of diarrhea, because usually your body's going to pee it out, basically.
Yeah. Is there amounts that you like to see for men or women or weight? How do you?
There is, and I will say this is another highly debated topic, and a lot of people have opinions on that. I don't think that there is like only one way, but generally speaking, I think 90 ounces for a woman, and I think more around 120 for a man.
If you disagree with Ashley, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Yeah.
Let's get the debate started. This is what Ashley believes. But I think what you said was, which probably seems true to me, it depends on you.
It does.
Everybody's different.
And also, like, you could have a 150-pound man, or you're going to have a 250-pound man. Like,
right?
They need different amounts of water.
And how much exercise you're doing every day. Are you sedentary, or are you running marathons on the daily? Like,
absolutely.
Those two people are going to need more or less water.
Absolutely. And so, like I said, I mean, that's just like generic. I think it's helpful for me just as a dietitian to have a generic starting place for clients of, okay, you're drinking 40 ounces. I want you to work toward 90.
Yeah.
But also, if you're exercising a lot every day, then, and so there's ways to match that. I mean, I think another one that people think about is like an ounce for every pound of body weight is what some people believe. And I think that can be on the high end. Of course, also I have people coming in who are drinking 30 ounces. And so I'm like, okay, let's less coffee, more water.
Yeah.
So
I think in my research, I found some places where they were like, drink a gallon of water a day.
Yeah. And so I think 128 is, I mean, and that is close to, for a man, a gallon is a pretty good amount for a man.
A gallon's 128 ounces?
I think so.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm right.
We'll hear about it if you're not.
Right.
We'll hear about it. Okay. So that's pretty good. Okay. The list is complete.
The first list.
The first list is foods for the gut. And we got fiber. And we learned a lot about fiber. Insoluble, soluble, how it impacts your mucosal layer. Yeah, baby. Wrote that one down. 2 and 3 were pre and probiotics. The pro is the healthy bacteria in their state, whatever, and then the pre is precursors to those healthy bacteria. The food for that, which you said onion and garlic. And then 4 was polyphenols, which were foods that helped with polyphenols or gave you polyphenols.
Yeah, they have polyphenols.
They have polyphenols.
Yeah, and so berries and grapes and spinach and nuts and onions and
turmeric and cinnamon. And garlic and onion once again. So you get kind of bang for your buck on two of these. You get polyphenols and prebiotics if you do onions and garlic.
Yeah.
Those are good. And then 5 was water.
Help that motility.
We learned about motility, which is the rate of food's movement through your digestive
and
system.
how foods move through it. Yeah.
How they move.
Yeah. Rate and how. Yeah, both of those. Yeah.
That's good. That's our first list. Next list is indicators of gut imbalance. How do you know when your gut is out of balance? How do you know when your gut is not supporting a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah.
Right?
So I went to a UT game with some friends a while back, and interestingly, people all in the health and wellness, and not that this is always the case, but 2 of these people were males and ended up the topic of conversation on the way to the game was on flatulence. And there was a lot of topic, and I was like, geez, there's a lot of talk. I was just laughing, poking at it, like a lot of talk about flatulence here. And they're like, geez, Ashley, everybody farts. And I'm like, well,
does everybody fart?
But
everybody poops.
But like,
does everybody fart?
I would say probably everybody, but I also think that if it's happening a lot, to me, red flag for gut imbalance.
Number 1 is flatulence.
Oh, well, and I'll put it together as gas and bloating. Which typically bloating is gas production, typically. So typically that bloating is coming from some gas in there. That doesn't mean that you're passing gas and burping necessarily, but typically that is often where that bloating is coming from. So gas and bloating, for it to be a daily, common occurrence for every meal, that is a sign that we might want to check your gut. So that's the first one, because generally speaking, there should not be. And that doesn't mean if you have a lot of beans or a lot of cruciferous vegetables, sure. So I think it is a natural process in the body for our body for there to be gas producing foods. But if most meals and all day that you are burping and having flatulence or having bloating.
So you're telling me that beans are good for the heart, but the more you eat them,
they just might make you fart.
The more you fart.
But not always the case. I actually truly believe that it also could just be an increase of fiber, right? So beans are very fibrous.
Yeah.
And so if you're not regularly eating a high amount of fiber, and then you have this, 3-bean salad or something, then it probably is more fiber than your body's used to. It's also like water. Our bodies adjust to things. Fiber and water are two of the ones that I think are helpful to work up slowly, and then our body is able to utilize them at that level if we kind of work them up slowly. If you just jump up to high fiber, then it's more likely to have gas and bloating. So it's not to say there aren't things, or overeating a meal, like a Thanksgiving meal, and you eat more than there's really room for. Yeah, that could produce gas and bloating too. But that wouldn't be in every meal all day thing. And so if you are consistently getting a decent bit of gas and bloating, that's if it's not a special occasion, then that's a sign.
What are cruciferous vegetables? Which ones are those?
Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, or kale. Yeah.
I eat those regularly.
Yeah.
But I also have gas kind of regularly too. We're going to talk about GI tract. We're going to talk about GI tract maps.
GI map.
At some point in this discussion. And I'm going to ask all my listeners to donate so that I can get one done. So that
sorry, I'm chugging on water.
Ashley can look at my GI tract. I'm doing this TV show, so I'm poor now. I'm frugal, but I'd love it if we could start a GoFundMe to pay for me to do a GI map.
Yes.
Because it's like $300, $500. If you've got an extra $300, $500 and want to see what my gut's like,
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But gas and bloating is the number one indicator of imbalance in your health. Or the first one we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's absolutely one of the main ones.
Will it happen because of like you're eating something that you shouldn't be eating? Like I often wonder, am I eating too much cheese, or will those things cause bloating and gas?
Yeah, so an excessive amount of any one food could potentially do it. Now, great, but if you're doing an excessive amount of that, kind of depends on what it is. But if you're doing, let's just say, a cruciferous vegetable, you're doing like lots of broccoli. Well, ultimately, your body, assuming that it's not imbalanced, will probably adjust to it.
They'll adjust
to that higher fiber.
Because I've been doing cauliflower rice.
Yeah, I love it.
And broccoli, pretty much with most meals, I'll either have like a zucchini, a cauliflower, or a broccoli. Yeah. With almost every one.
Yeah.
And chia seeds every day, all day.
Yeah,
like I do chia seeds multiple times a day. I didn't realize they were so good.
They are.
But now I know.
And they're good for fiber. So yeah, gas and bloating. Number
two.
I think diarrhea, constipation. Was that? I think that was.
We wrote diarrhea and constipation.
So.
Which is your motility, too fast motility and too slow motility.
Yeah. So I would say first thing, if you're constipated, the first thing is make sure you're drinking enough water, right? So like potentially that doesn't mean just because you're constipated doesn't mean you necessarily have a full imbalance or we need to do a GI map. But if you have regular diarrhea and or constipation, so some people can go in and out of them, like having some diarrhea and some constipation, like
really,
that especially if you're having both, it's for sure.
If you're like swinging from one to the other,
and your hydration isn't swinging with it, then yes, I would say that is a big sign. And there's lots of like bacteria overgrowths and imbalances that can lend toward one or the other or both.
Okay. Constipation. How many times should we be pooping every day?
1 to 3 is where
1 to 3, and that depends on how much you're eating. Probably.
It depends on how much you're eating. It depends on how much fiber you're eating, and obviously if you're drinking enough water to support how much fiber you're drinking and your food and waste. It also may depend a little on your toxin load and stuff like that. So like what you're surrounded. So like somebody who is exposed to a lot more toxins, their body might process that. Might have more to process.
Heck yeah.
Or depending on what they're eating, right? Like eating a lot more processed foods or fast foods, of course, will influence that. But I would say, generally speaking, if you think that you're eating a pretty balanced diet and you have a lot of constipation, a lot of diarrhea, or swinging from one to the other. Like
so constipation is not pooping in how long? Like if you haven't pooped in...
Well, constipation could be as simple as not having a smooth and easy bowel movement.
It's about the experience of the movement.
Or like, a lot of people describe it as like hard pellets, or like you can tell that you need to have a bowel movement, but
the dryness of the poop, or like
the dryness of it.
If it's hurting your butt,
it feels like it's in there and it's not coming.
Your butthole hurts afterwards.
Potentially,
I'm just gonna say it. I don't know. I don't know if there's a YouTube word for that, but
or like pellets, right? Like
if you're like a rabbit.
If it's not like coming in a
in a log,
formed, soft and formed is what we want to go for.
Formed means like it's a tube.
Not forced.
It's a tube. Yeah, and you don't want to have to try too hard.
Yeah.
It needs to come out.
It should come out relatively easy.
Yep.
Soft and formed.
Okay. And then the other side is like
too soft.
It's too soft, too quick, and too soft.
Yeah.
Too much
and that doesn't mean all water either. Like I said, the ideal. Sorry to talk about all the poop, guys.
I'm talking poop.
Is soft and formed. Like that is ideal. Not a lot of effort. Comes relatively easy. I would say anywhere from like 1 to after each main meal, and it didn't mean have to directly after, but like generally speaking, 1 to 3 times a day is a good amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you're swinging from diarrhea to constipation or either one of these for too long, when do you know? Is diarrhea or constipation a normal part of life, or is anytime you experience one or other?
I'd say it's normal in terms of sickness or medication and stuff like. Well, I guess that's the other thing. Like if you know that like you're on a medication that like induces constipation, well, okay, different thing, right?
Yeah.
Although that also might mean that medication might influence your microbiome. So potentially, right? Or it is, right? Because we're constipated for a reason here.
Yeah.
But so I think there are things, and there's also foods that are more constipating. So like bananas, and actually can be a good thing. So if you're having diarrhea, you eat a banana, that can be helpful,
Okay.
right? But if you're eating like bananas all day long and you don't know why you're constipated, that might be why. So there are foods that can be helpful for that. But I would say generally speaking, so yeah, it's a normal part, but also, you can get a stomach bug. Well, diarrhea is a normal part of a stomach bug, right? So
yeah, your body's trying to get that out of there.
yeah, so our bodies or ate bad fish or something like that. So it's
Okay.
a normal process in the body, or like people who have anesthesia might be more likely to be constipated after, right? So there are and or like certain medications. So there are.
Okay.
I think it's a normal part of, I don't know, I'll say checks and balances of our body. But if you're living in that space, like not like a week I might have gotten a sickness, or not I'm on a new medication, but like I don't understand like this, then it's probably worth checking out.
Yeah, you've got an imbalance. Number 3. You remember what it was?
What was number 3?
We said brain fog.
Yeah, brain fog. Again, so many things can lead to brain fog, right? I mean, like stress could lead to brain fog.
What the heck is brain fog?
That's a great question. Brain fog. I think of brain fog as you're not, well, for all my women out there, like pregnancy brain is brain fog. No, but.
Because I got ADHD. Sometimes I'll walk into a room and I'm like, why did I even come in here?
Right. Well,
like,
so,
what was I even doing?
Right. I've got some.
Is it like too much of
contained.
that?
It's like without of that. I think it's accessing knowledge that you have, right? So, and on a regular basis, I mean, I also agree. I can also walk in a room like, why am I here, right?
Yeah.
But it's more like you had your keys 2 seconds ago and maybe don't have 10,000 things on your brain, but you're like, or maybe do, I don't know, but it's like, where did I put my keys? But yeah, it's like not being able to access the word. And of course, there's so many things that can lead to that, right? Like being stressed or too busy or too much on your plate or, whatever, or not enough sleep. Of course, there's lots of things that can lead to that.
Right.
And so I don't know that one by itself is one that I would like leave by itself, but I do think that especially in conjunction, and I'll even say maybe like brain fog and fatigue. I don't think that was on our list, so we could kind of lump those together.
Yeah.
That together is, maybe not like alone by itself. Oh, you have brain fog and fatigue. Like, let's do a GI map. However, if you're kind of trying to figure out like why my body doesn't quite feel good, I think a GI map is a beautiful place to start because the gut is so influential to so many parts of your body and how you feel, and your brain and all of that. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you can afford it and you have lots of fatigue and brain fog, I would absolutely throw a GI map in there because I think there's a good piece of that in there. So, yeah. So basically, your brain not working quite as well, right? So brain fog and fatigue can lead in that. It's just like, okay, like where did I put my keys? Like what did I bring my groceries in to the house? Like whatever. So that's what I think of as brain fog.
Well, it's
not
because
full access to a well-functioning brain.
Does this lead us to that discussion about the brain, your gut being like your second brain?
I think it's a good time to think about that. So when your gut is imbalanced, and again, imbalance can be a bacteria overgrowth or like not enough of the healthy bacteria. It could be having a parasite. It could be having a pathogen. Like there's a lot of layers to what that can look like. But when your gut is imbalanced, it is very common for your brain not to work as well. It is our second brain because we're not able, when it's imbalanced, we're not able to absorb nutrients or all of our nutrients that we need for our processes to work. And our brain, we notice the most, right? Like it's our center of everything. That's the command center.
Yeah.
And so when you're not getting enough water and nutrients and all of those things to the brain, then yeah, it's not functioning. Our synapses aren't firing as well. So more likely to have fatigue and brain fog. And it also more likely to have, depression and anxiety, same sort of thing. I mean, that's what they call it, the second brain. It's tied together. And so like if someone is having a lot of depression and anxiety or brain fog, fatigue, like absolutely, please do a GI map.
Look at the gut.
Yeah, look at the gut.
I think about those detective movies where they have a gut feeling. Like the detective's like, I got a gut feeling. Or other people do. There's also the Malcolm Gladwell book, Blink, where he talks about how the body has an awareness of things before the brain does.
I love that.
And then I think about this documentary I saw about octopuses. They might be called octopi when there's
think
one
they
of
are
them.
called octopi.
Octopi. How they have actually a brain in their head, but then they have brains in each tentacle.
Not wild.
And then I thought, well, maybe our gut is like one of the octopus's tentacles where our brain is it's localized there as this big mass, but then it's also out in our body in different places.
Yeah.
And our gut would be a great place for it.
Yeah.
It's like that's where we're getting a lot of input from the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just like our blood flows through the body, like, even not in every place, like our gut flows through a lot of the body too. And so,
our gut flows through the body? What you talking about?
Well, just food, right? Goes through the esophagus and into the intestines, right? So I was like, obviously not as extensive as like veins. But
the
I'm just saying
excretory
it's still,
system.
yeah, it's still going through a lot of the body and influences so much of it because like without food, like we're not, our muscles aren't going to work.
We have to have food.
Like our brain isn't going to work.
It's the building block of our whole body and our brain and everything.
Yeah, it's the fuel. It's the gas.
You stop giving your body food, water
our organs
and food.
start shutting down.
Everything's like, no.
Yeah.
That and like air. We need that. We need those three things, right? We need air, we need water, and we need food.
Yeah.
Those three things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we got the brain fog / fatigue for number 3.
Okay.
Number 4, we said was depression and anxiety, which kind of lends ourselves to that discussion about the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we kind of we blended 3 and 4. So yeah, absolutely. Like I said, like when, brain fog, fatigue would also, they're all influencing the brain. And so if you want to feel better that is a piece of the mix. It's like it's like when you go to a doctor, it's more so a functional medicine doctor, but like you go to a doctor and you're like, okay, my toe hurts and my ankle hurts and my shin hurts or whatever. And I'm being silly here, but like whatever, you're listing off the things where they're going to like put this picture together. Okay, well, if this, all right, so we have some depression and we have some brain fog and we have some gas and bloating. Well, okay, let's whatever. And again, that doesn't mean you also have gas and bloating. I would say like I have people who, and I don't remember if this was number 5, if I'm about to blend in number 5, but skin issues is another one that I think about. So if you have eczema,
that is skin issues.
Yeah, so if you have eczema, it's just another piece of when I'm looking at different symptoms, it tells a story. Our bodies tell a story. And so maybe by itself, of course, you could have depression by itself, but if you have depression or anxiety, I would check the gut. What if this is a relatively simple fix instead of antidepressants or instead of like, not that I would ever dissuade somebody from binging meditations, but if you're binging meditations to try to like feel functional because of your depression and anxiety or whatever, isn't it worth looking to see if you could just create some balance to the gut? And maybe that would
you say simple fix, but like food is so
tough.
Yeah, you're saying and lifestyle pick. I want people to do it.
Yeah.
But I also want to acknowledge how challenging it can be to change those type of
100%.
Lifestyle.
And I say that lightly, like because even fixing your gut is not easy. But not only like food, like let's just say you have an overgrowth, maybe. Obviously, yes, how you're eating influences your gut health, right? But let's just say you're a good eater, like you feel really good. You're like, I'm a healthy eater.
Yeah.
But your gut's imbalanced, maybe from the past, maybe from antibiotic use. I'll mention a list of some other things too, a quick list. But like maybe your gut is, I lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was saying.
We were talking about anxiety and depression and how it would be easier to,
Yeah. So maybe you're eating really healthy, but your gut's imbalanced for any other number of reasons. And so then healing your gut might be taking certain herbs to like kill off the overgrowth. And so like I will say that also can be expensive. So that's the potentially easy if we can, kill some overgrowth or rebalance the gut, which may not be food, but I do think they all go together. I think you need diet. I think lifestyle is important, and then obviously treating what you find.
Right.
So on a quick tangent here before my brain forgets it.
Yeah.
I was going to say the things, probably, I don't know, I'm going to rattle them off, 3 to 5 things.
List within a list, y'all.
List within a list.
What's this list?
This list are the things that can create gut imbalance.
Okay.
So, poor diet.
Poor diet.
Antibiotic use.
Antibiotics.
High stress.
High stress.
Is probably really number one.
Have you ever felt it?
Number one, honestly, number one. I find
stress.
High stress is probably one of the number one things that throw out gut balance. High toxin load.
High toxin load, is that like drugs and alcohol?
For sure, but not what I was thinking of, but absolutely. That's drugs and alcohol. It can also be products that you use on your hair and your face.
Ooh.
It could be breathing in exhaust. It could be living next to a power plant.
Okay.
Our bodies are made to detox naturally, but that can build up over time.
Okay.
Especially if you have gut imbalance already. So, and then medical conditions. So certain medical conditions can influence gut health. So like having celiac or Crohn's disease or whatever. And so, but yeah, I would say number one on there is stress. I already said number one on there is stress. Antibiotics, another one. So like if you've been through a lot and taken frequent antibiotics, it destroys your microbiome. And then, yeah, I mean, I listed all the others, but like then high toxin load, medical conditions. What was the other one I missed? I don't know.
Medical conditions. That's them.
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to rename the 5. So
Yeah.
Okay.
That was list inception, y'all.
Blended it in. I snuck in a third
She
list.
snuck in another list, y'all. Okay, the next one for imbalance indicators was skin. You talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit. So
is this
I think of
eczema?
that-
It's
I think
rashes.
a lot of
it's-
eczema. It could be acne. For
Really?
sure. Yeah, acne, eczema are probably two of them. I mean, even like psoriasis and rosacea and stuff like that. So like there's
Really?
yeah, any of that can
So
stem
folks
also
are
from, like,
going to dermatologists when they might get as much value going to see a gut
or
specialist.
both potentially. Absolutely. I mean, I know this is my area, but I would say if you can, then start with the gut because potentially that would clear everything up in and of itself.
And probably other things
gut
too.
And diet, right? Gut,
Yeah.
diet, hydration, right? Oh yeah, and then would heal other things too. So I would say it's a good place to start, but maybe in the process you want to see a dermatologist to get some, instant relief potentially. And also, of course, there's possibility to have other things. But like, so my son, for example, when he was born, he had terrible cradle cap, like really, really bad cradle cap, but he was cradle cap. I'm like, yeah, babies get cradle cap, right?
Yeah.
And then also like eczema on his face. Well then, and this is like, I'm talking like newborn, like few weeks old newborn, and I was breastfeeding, and then I thought there were bed bugs because he had these little red dots on his body, and I'm like,
my
oh
God.
no, so I'm like, clean the room, fumigate it, there's bed bugs. Well, turns out hives on a little bitty baby look like these little bitty like ant bites.
Oh my God.
And so then, but as a dietitian, I'm like, okay, I literally just woke up and had 2 scrambled eggs, and that's all I ate. And then I breastfed him, and he broke out into these hives. So I was like,
Allergic to eggs?
let me cut out some eggs.
Yeah.
And so that cleared up the hives, but then the cradle cap and the eczema persisted. So then I cut out dairy. Cleared it up.
Wow. So you're changing your body. Your child was the indicator of his health, but would it be similar to your health too? Do you think you have?
So interestingly, after he was born, I no longer tolerate dairy. So we did do tests, and he is allergic to dairy and eggs.
And you probably were all along just oblivious to it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then, no, that was him being, no. I tolerated it fine before I gave birth to him. And then my body changed.
Another reason to hate your kids. You can no longer tolerate dairy. Kids. No, love your kids. Love your kids, y'all.
No, but it's fascinating how, food. So he's allergic to that, but like this can also happen just from sensitivity. So people can get, like eczema and stuff like that just from their body not tolerating, gluten or eggs or dairy. Gluten and eggs or dairy are probably like some of the 3 common ones that we notice skin issues with.
Okay, next number. I don't know what we're on. We're on number
I think we went through the numbers.
5. We got food sensitivity. which could be coupled
yeah.
with overly full with normal portion sizes.
Okay, so yeah, I was saying, you're right. Number 5 for reasons you might want to get your gut checked.
Yeah.
If you find that you are cutting out foods, maybe because of gas and bloating, or you don't feel good, or like, I would say that, or it just, feel like it doesn't sit very well. So you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to cut out gluten. And then I'm going to cut out dairy. And now I'm cutting out cruciferous vegetables. If you feel like there's lots of foods, you're going down this rabbit hole of all these different foods that you're having to cut out, but like, but if I don't eat those, I feel great. But if we've added several to that list over time, we probably need to check the gut, because potentially if you heal your gut from the imbalance, you can reintroduce a lot of these foods that you may enjoy.
A healthy gut is more able to accept different things.
Yeah. And so like when it is imbalanced, it's typically more inflamed. So you have more inflammation. You have that inflammation, and then you're, and like I said, the common ones our gut can react to, I would say the top 2 are going to be dairy and gluten. That doesn't mean that, but like when there is imbalance, those are 2 of the ones I see the most of like not being able to tolerate. And then there can be other ones. And sometimes it's eggs. It could be pineapples. It could be anything. And so I've had a lot of people through the years. I used to, early on in my career, I used to send people for food sensitivity tests before I knew as much as I do about the gut now. But I was like, let's do a sensitivity test. Well, their gut's imbalance is coming out with all these red foods.
Because of their imbalance.
Because they're imbalanced. And so now, that's not to say I never do food sensitivity tests, but I will start with a GI map because if we can heal the microbiome and rebalance the microbiome, then a lot of times they can reintroduce a lot of these foods. And so that's, then if we've healed the gut or the gut looks beautiful or whatever, then sure, there might still be foods that you're sensitive to. That's possible. But a lot of times sensitivities come from a bigger root issue.
Okay. And then number 6 is this overly full with a regular portion.
Yeah. So, or even overly tired. But yeah. So let's just say you had like a yogurt and you're just like, ooh, I just feel like I ate a lot.
Yeah.
Or overly tired after you eat a food. That usually is a sign of imbalance. Or in general, just all foods. You just feel like you have a small portion and you're like, you're not able to eat more than like 1,000 calories a day or something. Or just not hungry. And let's say you're trying, making a meal. I'm not saying that people who like forget or stressed or something, but you make a meal and you're just like, that's really all I have room for. Well, that to me is a sign that our gut's imbalanced. Like you should be able to eat your maintenance calories relatively easily.
Right.
Like, your body should want that. Just to go on that, so maintenance calories are calories that your body needs to stay at the health and weight and for your organs and body to work optimally. So for your heart and lungs and digestion to work optimally, for you to have energy, for your brain to have energy, and for you to maintain your weight where it is.
Is that the resting metabolic rate?
I think, you're thinking like BMR. Typically, actually, your BMR is what you need,
that's your
lowest amount of calories your body needs to work optimally, but that might be closer to a deficit. That might be like you could lose weight on that, but it's a lower, but it's the lowest amount for you to like work optimally and not be sacrificing the health of your organs.
Yeah, okay.
Which like digestion is one of the first to go. So let's just say you're eating below your BMR. So I'm just making this up. Let's just say your BMR is 1,500, which is probably more, but I'm just saying, let's just say it's 1,500. And you're eating 1,000 calories a day, well, your body's going to sacrifice something. And typically, like digestion is one of the first ones to go. So I will say, let's just, and also it'll probably create imbalance in your gut. But that's one of the things that's going to slow down because your body's protecting itself. It's like, okay, we need the heart to have enough. We need the brain to have enough. So it's going to send the calories to the more important organs, basically.
Gotcha.
But generally speaking, if you feel like you're trying and you're like, oh, I just like my body doesn't need very much. Well, your body should want enough calories to maintain where it is, assuming that you're at a, relatively healthy weight.
Yep. That's our second list.
Yeah.
Our second list.
Check and check. Technically our third because we snuck one in there.
Yeah, you snuck a list in. But yeah, that's our third list. Second, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was indicators of gut imbalance being gas and bloating, diarrhea and constipation, brain fog / depression, anxiety, kind of emotional fallout from that you're experiencing, skin issues, food sensitivities, and overly full with normal portions or
Yeah.
overly fatigued
Yeah.
with normal
Yeah.
portions.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
our second one.
I love it.
And then our list within a list, which were things that can throw your body out of balance, your gut out of balance.
Yeah, and so-
that was stress, antibiotics.
Yeah. So I'll rewind and then I'll name them. I was going to say it's often things that, so when I talked earlier about protections, so I talked about those cell junctions. These are things that can open up those cell junctions so bigger molecules come or can influence that mucosal layer.
Okay.
Right. So stress, antibiotic use, poor diet, high toxin load, and medical conditions.
Yep. That was the other list. Now we're going on to list 4.
Oh, we have another one?
Well, it's Ashley's colon detox. The things that the protocol that you have your clients go through to help their colon.
Yeah. Well, so I think I call it a detox. So I'll kind of couple this with a little bit what we had talked about earlier is there are lots of cleanses and detox and protocols out there. I mean, there's juice cleanses and there's colon cleanses.
The
and
master cleanse.
Parasite cleanses. There's master cleanse.
There's teas.
Yeah. I mean, you name it, you can find it. You know, there's like what the cabbage and what's that? That was like a cabbage diet or something cleanse. I don't even know.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's lots and lots and lots and lots. And, you know, I am not here to badmouth. I know that people have success on some of those. But that doesn't mean that I don't have opinions. And so I generally, and I've worked alongside people who are like detox and cleanse gurus and have had a lot of success with clients with a lot of these. However, I will say my philosophy is if you can help this particular one, kind of serves, I'll say 2 to 3 purposes. One is detox. So I call it my detox. So it is to help reduce our toxin load that there might have been some buildup over time. 2, it's kind of a glorified elimination diet. So it helps us kind of discover if we are sensitive to some of those key main things. So I was like gluten, dairy, eggs, stuff like that. And what was my third? Third is to help more of a liver detox. So it like help open up your liver pathways. So those are kind of the 3 purposes I use it for. And so oftentimes, let's just say I do have somebody who is trying to lose weight or be healthy. Well, I'll say lose weight. Having somebody trying to lose weight. And let's say they've lost some weight and they have like that last 5 pounds that like they're still doing everything right and they're kind of stuck on that last 5 pounds. Well, I'm like, well, this might be a really good entrance at the end to see if there's any like toxins that are kind of hindering that last little bit, or we just need to open up the liver pathway or something just to like help our pathways flow better.
Okay.
So I like this one because you eat food. I'm not a huge fan, just personally, I'm not a huge fan of, especially long cleanses where you're just juicing. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying they're bad, right? But like my personal philosophy is if you can do some sort of detox with food, and that doesn't mean that I'm against like fasts, right? Like I actually think, you know, a fast of, 24 to 72 hours can be really helpful for the body. And I think we talked about that last time.
I've been doing fast. Yeah.
I don't like going over 72 hours. I think it's not as good for the body personally.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So 24 to 72 hours, like fast can be good. So I don't mean something like that. That in my mind is different than like taking something for a cleanse.
Right.
So that's different. But in terms of taking something, or just, like I said, if you're trying to get rid of toxins, and open up your liver pathways and stuff like that, then I like this one because you eat food. So you eat food during it. I do have a kind of supplement pack that I do that helps support the liver and helps support the detoxification pathways. And then there's the diet piece. So it's basically, like I said, it's a glorified elimination diet that you eat like uber clean for 2 weeks. So while you're doing these herbs.
Duration is 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
A fortnight.
Yes.
14 days.
Yes. And you take these herbs throughout the whole thing. No alcohol, no caffeine. Reasons being, alcohol is a toxin. We're trying to get rid of toxins.
Yeah.
So like we're adding toxin to it. That's not helpful. Caffeine can speed it up, especially since we're utilizing herbs to help speed up the detoxification pathways. We don't want to do it too fast mostly because people will just feel yucky. So if we do it too fast, then caffeine will speed it up. Understandably, it's a speed sort of thing, right?
Okay.
And so no alcohol, no caffeine. Eating everything organic if you can afford it for 2 weeks. Everything organic, like just super lowering pesticide and toxin load.
Yep.
Homemade everything. We don't eat out if you can help it.
You're going Michael Pollan, full on Michael Pollan. I remember getting his little book. It was like, there needs to be less than like 5 ingredients. Yep. You need to be able to pronounce them all. Yeah. They should be in your kitchen. Yeah. Right.
And so during this detox, nothing out of a package, right? Like you're eating whatever.
Whole fruits and vegetables.
Chicken and broccoli and, whatever. Yeah. Potatoes or whatever.
No processed food is what it sounds like.
Nothing processed, whole foods, and you're making it. So during the 2 weeks, you can do anything for 2 weeks. You can.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And then so there's all that. And then I take out highly reactive foods. So even if you're like, oh, I totally tolerate eggs, we're going to cut it out.
You take out eggs?
So we take out eggs. Dairy, gluten, shellfish, pork, soy.
You take out pork and soy.
Yeah. So pork can be harder for the body to digest. So we're trying to like help out the whole intestine process here. Shellfish is another one that people can be sensitive to. Soy, gluten, dairy, eggs are other just highly sensitive foods. And then I typically don't have to, depends on people's goals, but I typically, I have a lot of clients who are trying to lose some weight. So I also take out like high glycemic food. So we, take out really high sugar fruits. Nothing out of a can because of toxins out of can. So
no
like fresh
juice,
everything.
No juice.
And I actually take out nuts and seeds during the first week. We take out actually all grains during the first week. So and I typically take out animal proteins through the first week. So the first week you can do fish and beans for your protein. Anyway, it's real specific. I have it all laid out of like approved and unapproved foods.
Dang.
And then we like introduce certain foods along the way. And then at the end, then we one by one introduce those like highly sensitive foods. And sometimes people have been eating eggs every day of their life. They do this cleanse and then they eat eggs and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm having massive headaches. I'm like bloated. I'm all these things. Well, like
because they're so clean, then you reintroduce it. Like your body's rebalance. Like ready to give you an indicator
for sure. And that doesn't always mean that they will never be able to have eggs again. It might be they have a gut imbalance. So it might mean we need to like do a GI map. It might mean we just need to heal that gut barrier. And so then they're sensitive, we pull it back out, and then we work on that gut barrier and seeing if we can heal the gut to see if they can reintroduce it.
Is gut barrier synonymous with mucosal layer?
Yes, for this purpose, yes.
There's more than just the mucosal layer.
Correct.
But yeah.
The mucosal layer is a piece of it. The cell junctions are a piece of it. But I think of gut barrier as being like all of that as a whole.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So yeah. The wall protection of protecting the inside from the outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what else is in a part of the detox?
That's mostly it. We introduce foods
There's
as we
herbs?
go. Yeah, so there are herbs that help support, like milk thistle is one of them. There's several. It's like a bunch of herbs that help support the detoxification. Tons and tons and tons of water. I have people make sure if they can do massages and saunas and stuff to like help
skin
flush
scraping
out.
and stuff.
Yeah, if you can do dry brushing,
cupping,
and anything that can help. Yeah. Anything that help detox the body, lymphatic massages, and
And the process for there's 2 weeks for this dietary thing, but then after those 2 weeks, there's probably another cycle where they are reintroducing things, right. and you wouldn't want to reintroduce everything all at once,
correct,
right?
Correct. So yeah, at the end of so we do introduce some foods, not the highly sensitive foods, but like I said, like nuts and is one, and then animal proteins is another, and so we kind of introduce those slowly across the 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then at the end of the 2 weeks, yes. So then we'll say, I always let people pick, like, what's your favorite thing that we took out? Like eggs, gluten, dairy, soy.
Yeah.
What's the one you want the most? All right, well, let's try that one first.
Let's figure out if that's
So we
good
try
for
that
you.
one first, and typically, I usually do 2 days. Typically, you'll know within 2 days. So let's say you start one on Monday, and then there's several things you look for. So I have people look for, of course, gas and bloating. Do you have gas and bloating? Do you have like immediate diarrhea, constipation? Headaches are a big one.
We look at those indicators, that other list.
Yeah. I think the only other thing that I didn't mention there was headaches. But yeah, other than that, then you go through, are you feeling overly full with a little bit of food? So you had like a scrambled egg, you feel really full, or you feel really tired after eating it, like a thing of yogurt, same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Does it give you headaches? Does it give you severe brain fog? That's always tell people, like, if you're like, do I have brain fog or don't I have brain fog? That's not what I mean. I mean,
know.
like, walk out the door and you're like, I have no idea where I'm going. Like, what am I getting in my car for?
Yeah.
You know, like, whatever. So then we look for those things. And then if you are sensitive, then we take it back out. But typically 2 days for each new one. Yeah.
So the whole process could take, what, a month?
Yeah, or less. I would say 3 weeks typically. I mean, 2 weeks for the intensive, and then like add another week to introduce those 4 things typically.
So if you guys want to do Ashley Eaves detox, we'll have places where they can get in touch with you.
Yeah,
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I've done it several times. I think it's great.
You have?
Yeah,
Do you do it regularly?
So typically about every 6 months.
You do it twice a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I would say, I think that like helping that toxin load is good. It also just like usually feels good. Typically the first week is hard and you're kind of fatigued. So what happens is, especially with the herbs, our typically toxins sit in our fat cells. And so we are pulling the toxins out of our fat cells and into our bloodstream. So those first, typically 3 days, but I'll say the first week, but typically the first 3 days, you're feeling kind of yucky, but non-specific yucky, like kind of like you're about to get sick, but no specific symptoms, or you're kind of fatigued, or just kind of feel kind of yucky because we're pulling all your toxins into your bloodstream. And so you're feeling all the effects of the toxin. So all of the reason you want tons and tons of water or a sauna or a massage or anything to help get those toxins out, because we need to excrete them through sweat, bowels, urination. And so typically people are like, kind of like, oh, those first 3 to 5 days. And typically most people feel great the second week.
Yeah.
Especially by the end of the 2 weeks, just like energetic and brain's working and they're sleeping better. And anyway, yeah.
There's a lot of benefit to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That's your detox protocol. This section is where Phil fails at enrolling his audience to help fund a GI track.
Yes, a GI map. Yes.
A GI map. So we're going to tell you the benefit of a GI map and why it'd be great for us to have that for our discussions. We'll talk a little bit about the cost of it. And yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
So buy Phil a GI map. It doesn't have
Do
to
it.
be one
I'll
of you.
review it on camera.
Yeah, she'll review the GI map on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is a GI map important? Why would be helpful?
Yes. So like I said, I have not done GI maps forever, and I now love them.
I
love them. I love them. It gives me such great insight for a client for why they're not burning fat, why they have skin issues, why they don't feel good, and why they're not detoxing well. It can even influence like autoimmune diseases. And I mean, there's so much that your gut can influence. So like I said, I would give one to everyone. Seriously, I'd give one to everyone, but specifically all my clients if I could.
Yeah.
Again, they can be pricey. And so that's not always available to everybody. But what it looks at. So it looks at pathogens. So Giardia, Salmonella, Shigella, stuff like that. So it looks at pathogens. It looks at viral pathogens. It'll also look at so like temporary, pathogens that you could have, like adenovirus or something, right? But that's not a big section. So it looks at pathogens, it looks at your healthy bacteria, your commensal bacteria, and it also looks at how balanced they are. So we know if, we have some lactobacillus, but it's really low, or we have some Akkermansia, but it's really high, or whatever. And each of those tell me something. So I can look at them and talk through like, okay, this is low, this can look like this, and this is high, and this can look like this. But we want them them all to be balanced. So it looks at our healthy bacteria and how balanced they are. And like I said, that tells me something. And then it looks at opportunistic bacteria. So these are bacteria that we don't necessarily need, but we don't want them overgrown. There's a couple that are beneficial at a low level, but we don't want them overgrown. And so this looks at levels of these bacteria and if they're overgrown. And so if they're overgrown, that is classic dysbiosis, so an imbalance of bacteria.
Yeah.
You can also have, just to back up on those commensals, you can also have like really bottomed out healthy bacteria, just like not enough of it, which is another form of dysbiosis. It's insufficiency dysbiosis. So it looks at bacteria, it looks at parasites, it looks at worms. It looks at intestinal health markers. So it looks at steatocrit to see how well you're digesting fat. It looks at elastase to see your digestive enzymes and how your body's breaking up your food. So both of those are digestion markers. It looks at beta glucuronidase, which is something that really helps me see how well your body is processing toxins and hormones. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot more that goes into that. It looks at your secretory IgA. So these are your immunoglobulins that its job is to protect the inside from the outside. So these are your defense. It looks at that. It looks at anti-gliadin IgA. So if your body is producing antibodies to gluten, it looks at that. It can look at zonulin, basically tells you whether you have leaky gut or not. So anyway, and it looks at calprotectin. So that's an inflammation marker in the gut. This can tell me a lot of things. It can tell me a lot of things that how you eat, your stress level, how your body's processing food.
Wow.
It can explain to me why you're having diarrhea or constipation. It can explain to me why you're bloated after every meal. It can explain to me why you're feeling anxious when you've never been an anxious person. Like it can tell me so much about a person and can highly influence, like I said, all those things, your skin, your brain, how well you're digesting food, what you can eat, whether you have an autoimmune disease or whether it's being managed well. And so like just such great
Y'all want to
benefits.
know this about me. Y'all want to know this?
Go fund me.
Go
fund him.
Yeah, we're going to go fund me to get this GI map. Or if you've got a GI map company, I'll partner with, I reached out to a couple of them thinking like, hey guys, just why don't y'all pay for me to get this GI map and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll kind of like celebrate the company.
I love that.
Yeah.
My favorite, there are a few out there, but my favorite is Diagnostic Solutions.
Diagnostic Solutions. I'll reach out to them. So if you work at Diagnostic Solutions or you know someone that works at Diagnostic Solutions, reach out to me or get us in touch.
Yeah.
Because this could be a win-win situation, right? We look at my gut, I get some value. You get to show your expertise at reading these and giving diagnoses and prescriptions, and the people get to see the value of it. So and have awareness of these companies that are out there that are providing these.
Yeah.
So I think this could be a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. I like it.
And I could even take a picture of my poop and we could put that up on the screen. I don't know that we'll do that, but
Tell him
no.
we don't need it.
We don't need that. That's funny. So that's the part where
I do sometimes have clients do that, and I'm always like, I don't think I needed that.
You
could
told
have
me about
described
that, where you got the poop pic.
Yeah.
And you're like,
And from the most unsuspecting client, you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
yeah. Okay.
Like,
Delete.
Yeah. I think there's some other ways we could have described that.
Well, you've been like, oh, that's a pretty poop you got there, because you gotta keep
beautiful.
you gotta keep your client relations, right? So you're like, that's a beautiful poop you got.
So proud of you.
Such a good pooper. Oh my god. All right, well that's all I had on us for the gut health part.
I love it.